What did you name it?
Cultural Exchange.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cultural Exchange.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I thought it was the dumbest name I could come up with.
All right, I will start trying to get the YouTube channel started. Cultural Exchange Podcast. But no, I honestly, like, it had me with that first arc, and I was like, okay, so this Prince guy is a fucking piece of shit. That's cool. He's with these two people. And then it completely leaves them for like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Brings them back for like 2 episodes at the end, and it's like, what the, oh god fucking damn it. Like I the rest felt like filler. The rest of the show, like the first 3 episodes, and then actually no, wait, they got rid of him after the first episode. Like they didn't bring him back until like episode 10 or 11.
No, they did the first 3. So there was he meets the alien so like the first episode is like,
that's
oh,
right,
okay,
that's right. The first 3 episodes felt like 1 episode, to me. But well, so like
it's set up in just like 4 little arcs. Like there's four separate stories in this one season, right?
Yeah,
so
but like I don't like that. I would rather one season be the story. Like I would have highly preferred if this anime was just 6 episodes long, like FLCL, and it just did its story. And it didn't have the thing with the color rangers and the fucking mermaid.
But it's doing this like parody thing.
I know. I got that. It parodied a bunch of different anime tropes, and I was like, I don't like this.
Oh, it's so good.
I did not like Level E.
I told you, man, I'm the only one who cares about this show. I did say that before we started.
Also, I didn't realize how old the show was.
It's like 11 years old or something like that.
Like I was watching it, and it's older than that, dude.
No, dude, the manga's a lot older.
Dude, I was looking the credits, all in Japanese, but they have copyright 1995 to 1997 on there.
Yeah, I think that's when the manga author originally published the manga.
I don't know, but like it was really weird.
I know for a fact because I watched the show when it came out. Because you're not a big weeb, so there's like what's called a seasonal anime cycle. We're just about to start winter 2022. A couple of the first episodes of winter 22 come out. So like every 3 months or so.
Yeah, aired in 2011.
Yeah. And so every 3 months or so, there's what we call the new season of anime, where like all of these new shows broadcast roughly on like the same week. And then there's like 12 episodes, or 12 weeks go by, 12, 13 weeks. And then there's the new season. And so like this was like a seasonal anime that came up. And I loved it because I found out it was written by the guy who wrote Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, like the original manga was. I'm not a big fan of this anime studio Pierrot. They do I think they're in charge of like they made Naruto and stuff like that. So like they make a lot of filler and the animations like kind of mixed, but they'll use it sometimes. It's really good. They're just like such a uneven studio for what they make. But I absolutely love this author's work. I think like to me, this show is exactly like if you took the premise from Marvel that Loki is actually like an alien from another planet, but you wanted to keep the characterization of Loki from Norse mythology, where he just completely fucks with people. That's what this show is. And it's really good.
Yeah, I remember you got excited when I mentioned that one little one-off thing where Thor's living with that guy in Australia. And you were like, great. I got the perfect anime for you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. I love like in the first arc, like you have these aliens that are like, they'll go to war at the drop of a hat, but they love baseball so much that they won't do it anymore. Like that's like a very Japanese thing. Oh my god, they love their baseball.
Of course, there was a baseball episode.
Yep.
And it's just like the intros to some of these episodes are just so fucking weird, though. It's like, oh yeah, we're on a bus and we're all of a sudden in the middle of a baseball field, and yeah, go.
Yeah, well, Yeah, the baseball field is like I forget I can't say the name. It's like Kohian or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It's
it's
like a
where they
famous
have like the
stadium. Yeah.
yeah, it's where they have their nationals. Like you know how like people get real jazzed about Little League World Series.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like the
No,
high school
I get
equivalent
that.
for
I
Japan.
understood that concept. That it was just like, yeah, no, this is the big stadium where this shit happens. This is our cup.
Yeah, but like any sports anime you watch, there's like we want to get to the nationals, like storyline, and it's great. They, such a good setup. Um, I don't know, man. This show's great.
Like
I love the
randomly they would
ending.
throw in like fan service into this anime too. Like whenever the teacher slash alien that would just like transform, it was like, oh, she's showing a lot of skin. And then there's like random scenes of her like in her bed, like wearing pretty much nothing. Like, I wonder if those kids are all right. It's like, why are you in bed pretty much naked thinking of little kids that are your students?
Well, she can't sleep because her students
I
are
know,
in danger.
I
She's
know,
a
but it
good
was still just
teacher.
like, and then she's in the shower. I'm like, what? Why did what's with the fan service all of a sudden? And the mermaid.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's those moments where like they're trying to do
Like this
like
is a
you
show
want
for
to have
children.
I think that there's a lot of subtlety in the storytelling of this that like you kind of want to have a little bit of extra fan service to keep people awake. Like I think I really like what's going on the whole time. I because like going back to that like Loki structure. Like if we look at the Color Rangers or whatever, like this is a it's a very Loki story where like Loki is bored. Loki comes up with a plan to mess with the people. It has now backfired against Loki in some way, and so and so now you need like a group of heroes to come and rescue Loki or like undo like the nonsense that Loki has gotten everybody into. It's so great. It's like it's little just like a little bit of mythology, a little bit almost. It's also kind of like it's like anti Star Trek while still being like a believable version of Star Trek. Like the Prime Directive is completely out the window in this one a little bit, but at the same
Except for Earth.
time, what?
Except for Earth.
Yeah,
They
except
keep
for like
Earth
Earth,
in the
kinda.
dark for the most part.
Yeah, like but like they're also like not above just like the main guy's just not above fucking with some Earthlings or
Oh no,
whatever.
totally.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know, it's great. I think it's like a great little it's a great little science fiction piece. You seem to be more into the science fiction end, and I think that this is a great little way of doing it.
It was
I think you're
just
just not prepared for the silliness.
it's definitely a bit fucking silly. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
god. But no, I would have totally been okay if this was just 6 episodes and it was just the main characters from the first arc and the last arc, and then remove what's in the middle there and just.
I love I it because like it's been 11 years since I watched this show, right? But I still have like in the back of my head like, oh, I loved Lovely. Lovely's so good. Um,
Did you rewatch it now since you had me watch it or no?
yeah, I rewatched it,
Okay.
and like I got all over again on like most of these things. I'm just like, oh man, I forgot how this went. This was like really nice layering. I remember why I enjoy this show. I because I remember like in the first 2 episodes, I'm like, this is a little bit more boring than I remember. And then on the third episode, and then the
You
third
were a
episode, I
bit
was like,
worried.
oh
You're like,
yeah,
oh shit, Andy's gonna hate this.
I kind of. I was like, do I remember it wrong? And then the third episode happens. Like, no, no, I remember this. This is great. I love it. I'm back on board. I'm sorry I doubted you, show. Because like in my head, I remember the first 3 episodes being the storyline for all 13.
And that's the thing. Like I thought, because like at the end of that arc, he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming back. Might be staying with you." And then the next episode had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
And I was like,
it
"What
can
the
be a little
fuck?"
disorienting. But like I was able to get on board because like it's just like I like the attitude of like I like the kids because they're just like they get abducted by an alien. It's like, hey dude, could you please just not?
Except for that one kid who's just constantly fucking crying.
Who's into it? Yeah, like and like I think it's very real to me. Like there's just one kid who's just like way too into it, and then everybody else is just like, hey, why is this weirdo abducting us? It's great. I don't know. I love like the second episode of that arc where they set up like, oh, I've kidnapped your girlfriend. Just kidding, I'm actually the princess. Like Loki is actually the princess. It's so like there's just like little bits like I feel like it's like what Ryan Johnson wants to be able to do of just like genuinely fool me because I don't really think he's able to like do that when I watch his things. But this one, I'm just like, man, they bait me every time and I fall for it because it seems like there's it's like this double bluff that happens every time. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, it's not like the beginning of that episode, he literally just shows a picture of that girl that the kid has a crush on, and he's putting her in like a fucking thing. Like if she was a video game character. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it turns out, no, it's like, it's not really a gotcha. It's more just like, yeah, no, ignore this in the beginning because it just never fucking happened.
Kinda, but it's like setting up like, hey, we're gonna do this thing to make them like, because like it's such an obvious like, how do we incite them to act? Okay, I'll just kidnap one of their girlfriends. Like it's such a it's such a common story element that happens for other things.
Other animes.
Yeah, but like anything.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying,
but it seems like it happens a
the
lot in anime.
Sure, and how do you get the main? How do you force someone into a call to action? And so like that's what like this that's what like the Game Planet episode is kind of into is like how do we force them to do the call to action? But it trips you up at the end and it's just like, oh, okay, this is funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I absolutely would I recommend the anime? I don't know. It really was for me. It was a chore to get through it just because like as soon as I finished that first arc, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'll do the next episode. That's why I did it in like 4 episodes that one day. And then like after that New York, I was like, what the fuck? No, you had me. Now you've lost me.
Yes and no. Like I would wholeheartedly recommend this to like specifically weebs. Like I think this is a great show.
For people who are already into anime.
Yeah, that's what the word weeb is.
Yeah, basically. I get that. But it's just like that's not me, so why would you recommend it to me?
Because I love it. I think it's great. I think that you got in some of these episodes. I understand that some of the middle parts are like not specifically your thing, but I don't think any part of this is bad storytelling.
I do like how at the end of the show they were like, yeah, no, this whole thing of getting you married to this princess, been working on that from the beginning.
Yeah, it's great. It's just like I love because like there is a little bit of foreshadowing in all of these little bits of like how it's set up, and I'm like, I like it. I'm great. I love that it all kind of felt like it was all part of one thing. But like specifically with the show, like I think this is like a hidden gem for people who are in anime because it's just like one of those things that like nobody's heard of this show. Like I said, only I care about this show. I think it's great. It's one of those things where like if you're a person who was a fan of like Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, like hey, this author did this really cool. It's like just a little thing, and it's great for like 12 episodes. It's just real quick, and you get it done. It's just a little thing you're gonna experience. It's its own little self-contained story in 12 episodes. I don't think that this goes on forever to like make it impossible for anybody to access or anything like that. I think it just does its own thing. Yeah. Like I'm a seasoned weeb and I look at
you refuse to start that anime.
Yeah, I'm like, and I refused to start that anime like 400 episodes ago because there were 600 episodes, and I'm like, that's a lot, man.
And now there's over 1,000, and you're like, no.
Now there's over 1,000. Yeah, it's like, please stop.
Just end it.
Yeah. It's like if there's a stopping point, I might be able to like actually start it.
But by the time you catch up to the current point, there's another 500 episodes that have been added on.
Yeah, it's just mean.
Okay. Thrawn. So I started rereading it because like I read it like around this time last year. So I forgot a lot about it. Okay. As you've probably noticed, because I've asked you a few questions about what's going on.
Yeah.
But my main complaint about this book and the next 2 in the trilogy for it is that it definitely feels like they kind of handcuffed the author, the guy who created Thrawn, because in the original Thrawn trilogy, before Disney bought Star Wars and removed the canon, it was his story. Like, he just completely made everything up. Like, Coruscant didn't even have a name at that point. He's the guy who named that fucking planet and stuff like that. And they ended up taking elements from those original books and putting them into actual Star Wars canon. And then now they're like, hey, we put Thrawn in Rebels, and now we want you to write a book about Thrawn and make it a trilogy and reintroduce the character. But you have to follow all these little points that we have. And it's like, fuck. It felt like they handcuffed them down for it, because they have the whole thing. Like, the characters, the Orinda character in the book, she's in Rebels. She's from the main planet that show takes place on, Lothal. That's all that. The governor that got removed, he's in the show and everything. Like, the next book even takes place in between, like, certain parts of the show. So it's like, that's one thing that bothered me about it. I still enjoyed them, but I could tell where it's kind of like, they're like, yeah, you have to follow these story points instead of giving him just free reign.
I thought this book was kind of mid the whole way through. And I don't know if that's just my general apathy towards Star Wars.
Could be a combination.
It's probably a combination. Welcome back. When I was reading Thrawn, they did a thing like in Doctor Who that made me really kind of start to hate Doctor Who, which is where every character says how cool the Doctor is. And it's like, I get that because I'm watching the show. And this thing in the book was doing the thing where it was like, yeah, Thrawn's really cool and he thinks ahead. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I'm reading the book. I don't need Vanto to say how cool. I don't need what's her face to say how cool Thrawn is.
Orinda.
I'm reading the book. Yeah, Orinda. I got it. I don't need the characters in the room. Yeah. And like, I think that these characters exist in things that are designed to be more accessible for younger audiences, because
that's what Star Wars was originally supposed to be.
Yeah. Like, I think having a character say somebody else is really cool can convince people who, like, maybe aren't, like, who don't have the attention span of, like, saying what's going on. Like, they don't know that something cool is happening because it's a little bit more subtle, so you need a character to say it. But, like, it's kind of like how when I reread Dresden, and I was just like, every book has like recaps of the previous books in the middle of the book, and it's like, I know I'm reading these back to back in a binging session because it's unhealthy for me. I get what's happening, please stop it. But at the same time, like,
Dresden Files was set up so that anyone can pick up any book in the series and kind of just be into it.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be read in the way that I'm doing it. Like, I think I'm just like, it sounds kind of gloaty to say that, like, I'm a little bit above the reading level of the book or something like that. But at the same time, like, I think, yeah, like, it's just a little bit of the structure that I'm just like,
you're spooning me too much.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why that also comes across a lot in this book is because the majority of the book is told from other people's perspectives other than Thrawn. He rarely has the point of view in the narrative.
Yeah. The one thing I do kind of hate about the Thrawn is I study their art, and that tells me everything I need to know about their culture.
Well, like, that's what, so they changed it a little bit because he studies their culture, not just their art now. In the original Thrawn trilogy, all he did was study their art and just basically understand how to fucking defeat them. And this one, he studies their culture a bit more and, like, does, like, you can actually, like, he does, like, I'm going to do research, and he actually does research in it, as opposed to just being like, oh, I've studied them, I know how they work.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think was a little bit better than
in the original Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, like, it was a little bit better, but it's still also just a little bit too on the nose for me.
I do like that in the original Thrawn trilogy, like, he didn't have that political savvy weakness And like this
yeah,
one,
I like the politics part of this, but yeah.
So like, yeah, in this one, he like in this new canon for Thrawn, he doesn't understand politics. Like it's like, it's not tactics to me. I don't get it. I'm just an idiot for it. And that's why other people have to back him up. I honestly think that you would enjoy the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy more because that one wasn't set up to be tied to any existing canon
Rebels.
at all. It was basically just like, this is before he was with the Empire and everything. This is just him and the Ascendancy. And it goes into a lot of detail in how the Ascendancy works and like their foreign policy, their internal politics, family structures, and everything in there. I think you would enjoy that far more because of the world building.
They did do... So, like, I didn't notice, like, the connections to Rebels, but I did notice the very slight connection to...
The Death Star?
No, not... Well, I saw the Death Star part. What was before Rebels? Attack of the Clones or something like that?
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Yeah, they're like... So there's some episode in the Clone Wars somewhere, right, where he meets Thrawn?
No, there isn't. That is basically the next book. The next book is called Alliances in the trilogy, and that one it takes place in two different timelines. It takes place during the Clone Wars, and then it also takes place during the current Rise of the Empire. And in the present, he's working with Darth Vader, and he doesn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker. And then in the Clone Wars timeline, he's working with Anakin Skywalker in wild space for like a certain mission. And that actually, there's a callback to it in the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy. You don't actually see it happen, but there's a little nod to it because that again takes place before the Rise of the Empire.
Mm.
But no, it would have been awesome if Thrawn was in the Clone Wars, but he's only been in Rebels, so no.
Okay.
But there
I was like,
might be. So looking at it now, the Ahsoka television show, which is supposed to be coming out, she's looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn. And of course, she has the connection to Anakin Skywalker as well. So I'm wondering if that's going to come into play at some point during that show. We'll see. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm looking forward to it. But again, honestly, the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy, I believe, is far better than this one because, like I said, it felt like the author was handcuffed to these certain story points that he had to, touch on because of the fact that they took his character and they brought him into Rebels.
Sure. So from reading the first book, like my foreshadowing is that they're gonna try to like from the first time that we read a Thrawn book, right, on Casual Outlaws, it seemed like Thrawn is like just like a diehard Empire guy. And this, like from the first book, like it seems like he was like kind of.
So that's the thing. We never finished the original Thrawn trilogy, and you'll see that he really doesn't care that much for the Empire. He has a certain goal. It's a very specific goal, which you really don't get to see until you get to the Hand of Thrawn duology, which is two other books that take place 10 years after the original Thrawn trilogy.
Sure, okay. I guess what I should say is that he has legitimate contempt for the rebellion.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. In the original Thrawn trilogy, he's like, fuck these rebels.
Yeah, like, they're garbage. Please get him out of my face. I want to destroy him. In this book series, this new one, it seems like they want to try and redeem him. Like, they eventually want to make him so that way he'll eventually be a power for good.
See, that's the thing.
Quote unquote good.
Yeah, because like if you read Thrawn Ascendancy, you'll get more into it and you'll understand what his reasoning is for being in the Empire. But basically, everything that he does is for the Chiss Ascendancy. Even when he's with the Empire, he's said it already in the book. He's like, yeah, no, my greater allegiance is to the Chiss Ascendancy. Like the reason why I joined the Empire is because there's a greater evil out there. And that was, again, that's what took place in the Hand of Thrawn duology. Like, you actually get to the Chiss Ascendancy part of it, and they're like, yeah, no, we know about your empire. We don't really care about your empire. There's a greater thing out there that's coming, and we're in fucking danger, and we need to kind of consolidate and fight against it. And that's, you get this stuff in the Thrawn Ascendancy books that you really, you only kind of barely touch them in this trilogy. Like in the next one, the Alliance's book, you're going to get some more information on that, and a little bit of a hint on how like Chiss politics and the family structure and all that stuff works, and how there's like Thrawn's original name, he wasn't part of the myth. He had a completely different name. The names change based off what family adopts you into what power structure. So people's names change like all the time. It basically they lose their family name if they ever become higher up in the military. They basically forego all family ties and they just use what they call their core name, and that's how they function. So that there's no family has too much political power or too much power within the military.
Right.
But yeah, no, I love the character of Thrawn. I really like how they've changed him to fit with the new canon. And I honestly, I kind of just want to get you through this trilogy so I can just take you right into the Ascendancy trilogy, because I didn't want to just take you right into Ascendancy, even though chronologically it takes place before, but it came out after.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to you. I got tons more weird anime
I know. I know it's trade-off. It's trade-off. It's a cultural exchange.
Cultural exchange, if you will, yeah.
Make them watch anime.
You missed like the first half of this. So Berger and I have gotten into a thing where like I will have him read something and then he'll have me either read or watch something. And that's how I had to watch this anime level E, and he had to read one of these books. Yeah. And the thing is, for me, like animes mostly just have their one season. So it's like you just watch this one season. For him, I'm probably gonna make him go through a series of books. And since there's an exchange involved, he's come up with the name cultural exchange.
Because these are two pieces of culture that are being exchanged, yeah. I don't know what else you would think that name would be about.
It's Nate, so we have to, just make sure that because he also came into this very late.
He did come into it very late, yeah.
I mean, if you want to, that's cool.
If you want to do series for series, I can try and make you watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
It's up to you how you want to feed me anime. It's up to you how you want to feed me anime, but sure, whatever. But yeah, no, the next one I kind of want you to touch is just Alliances, which has.
Is that the second book?
It's the second book, yeah. Thrawn Alliance.
Okay.
I think it's just called Star Wars Thrawn Alliances. I'll send you the link just in case. My main issue with this one, with the second book, is that since it's like some chapters again are in the present, and then some chapters are all of a sudden in the past, and I didn't like how it kind of threw you back and forth. But it's not too bad. I haven't listened to the audiobook of it, so I don't know if it's any good. I imagine it's just like the other one where you have like the kind of like the ambiance music and sound effects in the background, which doesn't suffer if you up the speed of the listening speed.
Yeah, that was the one saving grace of this book, I think, is that I was able to put it at like 1.8 and it
yeah, fine. Like I started listening to it, I was like, I wonder what the audiobook is like. So I picked it up from the library and I started playing it, and I was like, man, this guy reads real slow. And I just upped it to like 1.5 and I was like, okay, this works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if the second one is it's been like a year since I've read it. The one thing is the pacing on the second one is better because there's not so many time jumps, because in this first book you jump from
the second trilogy?
The second book in this trilogy.
Oh, you mean like how they just kind of go forward in time really quickly?
Yeah, like there's just like it seems like months to years jumping ahead of time in this first book.
Yeah. That didn't really bother me. I didn't care.
Yeah, sometimes for me it's a little bit like, damn. But at the same time, like I think the author like wanted to like, hey, this is where he starts off and this is how he gets to this point. And I kind of have to put it in one book because I got a lot more stuff to tell you. And I can't remember the third book. I know the third book's called Treason, but I can't fucking remember what happens in it.
We'll just have to wait and see.
I think the third one deals a lot more with the Stardust project, the Death Star.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think Tarkin's a lot more in that book, and I think even Emperor Palpatine shows up more in that book. Yeah. But no, yeah, alliances, and then I guess you'll pick an anime at some point for me.
I think we'll do JoJo's Part 1.
JoJo's
Part 1 is it's probably the weakest of the JoJo's.
Okay.
But I still love it. It's definitely the worst looking, I think.
How many episodes is it?
And it might be 24. This might be
this one I can't push off until like the day before, like I did with Level E.
Yeah, it is on Netflix, so it's a lot more accessible.
Okay.
Than Level E was, because Level E you literally couldn't stream it anywhere except for scumbaggy pirated anime sites. But yeah, no, everybody knows JoJo's. I don't know if everybody loves JoJo's.
But Chess is one of those shows. You just gotta buckle in.
I think one of my favorite quotes about JoJo's comes from a YouTuber that goes by Demolition D, and it's like, how do you make jokes about JoJo's? Because JoJo's is jokes.
Yeah, I know that JoJo, I think it gets memed a lot, like on Reddit and different places.
The most. It gets memed the most. There's like a very big subreddit called Shitpost Crusaders, which is a parody of like JoJo's Part 3, which is Stardust Crusaders.
Okay. I sent you on WhatsApp the link to the Audible link for the next book.
Okay.
Even though honestly, if you just search Thrawn Alliances on Audible, I'm pretty sure you're gonna find it.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to read it too, Nate, because you didn't read the first book. And I don't know how into Star Wars you are, if you want to be into Star Wars. So, yeah.
Into Star Wars.
What's that?
I read a bunch of books that I can't even remember when I was a kid, like young.
Oh yeah, they've had books since like the early
Forever.
90s.
Yeah, they've got a lot of fucking.
No, like the original Thrawn trilogy came out in 1992.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I actually have to go because I have a birthday party I have to get to around 1.
All right. Well, you go enjoy your birthday party thingy.